So thank you for coming to the 2018 Renewal Application webinar. So today we're going to talk about the Renewal Application, not about new project. If you're coming for the new project, then you're coming in the wrong place. So these are the topics that we're going to cover. HUD really understand my timeline. They just released the GIW, so perfect timing. We're going to talk about that as well. And then where to download all the application, deadline, how to submit. Renewal application will go over every question on the renewal application, and then as well as the scoring criteria. We'll review the basic data error using HMIS, and then will be the Q&A section. So you can download our application on our website. The link already sent to all of you. The deadline is May 16, 4 p.m. And then you will send it to Nate. Please also CC me just so I have a copy. So this year, I also hope everybody can follow this format, because every year it does take us a little time to figure out all the submission, and I have to rename all of it. So the format I'm hoping would be following this format here. So all the document would be submitted as changing the. I hope you change the title of all the document, so it will be agency. It could be acronym if we understand what the acronym stand for, and then the project name. So it will be like Webaway Housing, or let's say COC2, COC1, or PSH, or PSH Housing First, whatever your project name is. So the agency, and then project name, and then maybe you can have a dash or space or something, and then would be indicating what that document is, like audit report, financial audit report, HUD audit report, renewal application, the actual application. If you want to attach a budget sheet, also you can name them budget sheet. So this way we can clearly identify what we are receiving, which helps us keep track of what's missing, things like that. So secondly, I would highly recommend everybody do not print the application out and handwrite your answer and scan it. In the past, I think people do that, and it's kind of hard to read. Even just a typed version of it and then print it out and scan it, it's not very clear. So we want it to be very clear seeing your answer. So I would prefer you to do it in Word or Excel format. And then if you could just directly convert it into PDF instead of printing it out and scan it, that would be great. So that's the requirement. Again, if during the presentation, if you have any question, or if I did not say things clearly, feel free to use the chat box. You are all being muted right now. So I'm going to talk about the GIW. So this is our webpage. Basically, all the document required throughout the application process will be posted here. So make sure you visit here. I mean, obviously, we send out email to update everybody. So the grant inventory worksheet is available today. So let's take a quick look. The total amount looks correct to me, which indicated most likely your grand total would be correct. So what I want you to focus on is, first of all, download it from our website, and then check each of your own grant and make sure all the line item is correct. this process is not a process for you to request budget amendment. Budget amendment can be done during the whole year as soon as you receive your contract. This is just a time to make sure the amount is correct, especially the total. So if you, our deadline is to HUD is May 8th. So if you could review this and email any change you may need to make, or sorry, it should be any error that HUD, HUD posted on this worksheet. If you found any error in this worksheet, that's what I mean. Please email Dell. So for example, this budget line item doesn't look correct, or the total doesn't look correct, or any of the item inside this worksheet doesn't look correct, please email Dell, and before this Friday. That would be great, so that it gives us a little time to communicate with HUD local office. So that's that. The next item would be Renewal Application. Basically, the Renewal Application is fairly similar to previous year. We did not make big changes, but there are some new items that I want to make sure everyone knows. So those are the same, but this is new. So let me see how to. So those are, I want you to indicate what's your service area. If you, this is based on county. If you, this is based on county. If you only want to, for example, service Niagara Falls, let's say, then you can write it on top or erase this to make it as Niagara Falls. But we do want to get a sense which program is willing to service other county, especially Niagara County and the GOW area. So if your program would like to expand your service to those geographic area, make sure indicate it in the application. So those are just like last year. We would like you to provide a description, especially for the project selection committee member who are new. We did recruit 1 or 2 new member last year, so it's very helpful for them to understand what your program is. And then if you use coordinate entry, so the definition of using coordinate entry is taking referral directly from Ton or Skylar. First of all, if you don't know who Ton or Skylar are, then you are definitely not using coordinate entry. I hope at this point there's nobody have no idea who they are. I think most of you do use coordinate entry. It's just there's some program maybe using it partial of the year. Then I would say you will check no and then explain how you receive your referral and how that process works before you completely committed to coordinate entry. So the next one, yeah, that's basic question. This question gets a lot of confusion last year. I do want to spend a little time explaining it. So the PSA total contract bet, just like the title. It's just how many bed you contracted with HUD. So total household served, that should be in your annual performance report. So if you run the APR, it should show you how many people you serve. Actually, how many household you serve. And then dedicated to chronic homeless bed, just like how you would answer in the COC application, you just answer that. Not so dedicated plus would be whoever is not dedicated to chronic, you basically are dedicated plus. Just one more thing is this question, you only need to answer one of them. You don't need to answer all of it. So as you can see, PSH only answered this part, transitional housing answered this part, rapid housing answered this part. So last year also there's some confusion that people try to answer all of it, which is unnecessary. So for rapid housing, for transitional housing, that's pretty clear and there's no confusion, I guess. For rapid housing, so what we are trying to gauge, because for rapid housing, unlike permanent support housing, there's like a specific number of voucher. For rapid housing, it change all the time. So we just want to know how many clients you serve as of March 31st. Just that one day. People who you serve include people you house and people you searching for housing for them. So number of caseworker, that is a question that we changed because last year we asked your capacity. That seems to just very confusing for people. So we would like to know how many caseworker you're supposed to have through this grant, including the one that you expect to hire. I know a lot of you are short-staffed right now, but this is how many caseworker you plan to have with the grant money that we provided. So expected caseload, so that would be for each caseworker, that would be whatever 25 or 30 or higher, whatever each case worker supposed to have caseload, not what they have right now, but what they expected to have. Total household served. So again, this can be found in your annual performance report in HMIS. Sorry about this line. I have no idea how to get rid of it. That's why it's still here. I'm hoping maybe I can get rid of it once I close this document. So this is, again, come right out of the COC application. That should be pretty straightforward. So do you currently have staff who is SOAR trained? They don't have to complete the SOAR application, but they need to be certified as SOAR trained. They cannot be just in the process of being SOAR trained. It need to be finished. When I say finished, they should have went to one of the Andrew's workshop or Ariel's workshop already. That considered to be completed. So budget. So the first question is trying to ask you how much unspent fund you have in the past 3 years. And then you will have to explain the reason of the unspent fund and what did you do to reduce the unspent fund, and if you are spending proportionally in your current contract. So in the previous year, we always want to know those 3 questions, but how the question worded didn't always get the answer, so we just reword it and hope you can explain. So if you have any unspent fund here, you will explain to us why there's some unspent fund, and what you did to reduce it. And then this is based on, for example, everybody's contract year is different. So you may be into the end of your contract year or the beginning of your contract year. We just want to know if you are spending proportionally. So this is a new question about performance. The committee suggested that give everyone an opportunity to explain their challenge. Again, we asked those questions maybe 3 years ago, and everybody is saying, oh, we serve the most difficult client. That is not the answer we're looking for. When we ask this again, we're hoping you can give us detail of what you are seeing that is challenging. So I recommend everyone to be very, very specific. You can give us client example, but not with name. You can just say client A, or give us the ID number, for example, which the committee have no access to the ID number, but at least we know we know what you mean when you use the client ID. It could be a variety of things that you can mention here, but I'm not going to make any example, but I just hope you're not going to just say we serve the most vulnerable people, because now everybody taking client from coordinate entry. Really, there's not much different who they refer to you, but we like to see what challenge you face and how can we also improve as a continuum. I think that's also a very important factor. So it could be a little bit feedback for how we are running things as well. So please pay attention to those questions. The budget, I think last year we created this new format. It's basically a simplified version compared to the previous Excel version that have 10 different tabs. I think most people did use this format, and what you submitted last year was fine. So if you submitted in this format, you could continue use that. If you really want to use Excel, just make sure the calculation is correct. Feel free to use that. We just don't really want to maintain a 10 different tab version of budget. It would be really nice to just see it in one sheet. That's the reason we changed it. And make sure you put enough description about what those funds are used for. So if you submitted, if you are being audited, please make sure attach your audit or monitor report with your application. Everyone should submit a financial audit. Okay, so there's a question about in-kind. We do not require the in-kind in this spreadsheet. Well, actually, that's not true. Sorry. This is other funding. So if it's in-kind, if you can indicate that's an in-kind instead of just typing the amount, that would be great. So you can do, let's say, one. You can say $1,000 for maybe supportive service, and then mark in kind. This way, at least we can separate out what's cash, what's in-kind match. You do not require to put all the leveraging. If you could just at least do the match part, that would be great. So another question about COC requests, if need to match the GIW. I think for us, for this process, we always would like to see a real budget instead of the budget you submitted maybe like last year. So if you would like to change the budget in terms of line item, I would say go ahead and do that. But your total should definitely match what's in GIW. As well as, I kind of lost my train of thought. Sorry about that. So make sure your total match the GIW, and then line item, if you would like to have some modification, that's totally okay. Oh, I remember. So during the local renew process, which is what I'm showing you, it's good to have a real budget, but when you advance into the eSNAP process, please do not edit your budget. That's not where you could do that. So just keep that in mind, which I will remind people in my eSNAP training in the future. Any other question? Just keep typing in the chat box. Okay, so all this is pretty standard, and then you will just sign. That's about it. We really pretty much only have 3 new questions. It's the unspent fund, performance challenge, and the geographic area that you will be covering. All right, moving along. Funding guy. Let me see. Okay, so this line doesn't seem going away. Sorry about it, but I guess we just have to stick with it. All right. So this year's funding guide changed a little bit on the scoring, and I just caught one error. The total of the scoring is actually 90 instead of 100, which may not match the new project, but I may modify it in the future. But for you guys, you just need to know you are being compared to your peers, so as long as everybody is scoring the same way, it should be okay. So we had two meetings about changing the scoring criteria, which I think most of you attended those meetings. So thank you for attending the meeting and participating and being part of it, because we do really value your feedback. And this basically is the reflection of what you guys tell us. I hope it works for everybody. So there's some new change. For example, instead of just measuring people's earned income and non-cash benefit, other cash benefit, we added a total, so that, for example, if your earned income measure getting really high, I often notice that your other cash benefit has decreased. So it's unfair for you to get 5 points here and lost 5 points elsewhere. So that's the reason that we added the have any income type here. Another thing is there's some bonus point this year that is available only this year or starting this year. 75% client with 2 or more disability would get for PSH would get 20 points, and then 50% of client with at least 1 disability for workaway housing or transitional would get 10 points. So that's a way for us to measure how difficult of the population that you are serving, to kind of make adjustment for the rest of the measure. So you all should already receive your performance. So I guess the next month, well, next 3 weeks, we're really hoping you can look into your the information that we sent you. And first, you can score yourself. Secondly, you can take a look at the data and see if it's correct, and make sure if it's not, you are going to correct it in HMS and ask Nate to rerun the report and make sure before the deadline we'll have the most accurate information from your program. So any question? Okay, there's some question. Yes, sorry. The question is, should we only mark someone as disabled if we have documentation? Yes. How the annual performance report work is only if you indicated you have documentation. There's a checkbox in the disability portion. Only if you check that box, we will the system will calculate them as part of the person have disability. So if you check that box, then we assume you have the documentation. That's how we measure it. So 41 4B are this part. Yes, so the reason these 2 questions are less point than previous year is because HUD indicated in multiple instances that they are a lot more focused on measure like this one, exit to permanent housing, or quickly housing people, or recidivism. So to make them separate, to make them more important, instead of giving them more points, we just lower the income points. HUD again clearly says they're not saying those are not important. It's just first of all, a lot of people have a lot hard time with it. But secondly, I guess it's just their focus right now. Like if those other, like if people are not stably housed, it's hard to focus on employment. So they're really emphasizing on quickly housing people, making sure they're stable, and then maybe next step would be focusing on income, increasing income. So that's the reason those points was lower this year. If you notice, the 4B is different. It's because those are for new renewal, and new renewal doesn't get point in the employment. That's the reason. So what is considered a new renewal? It's here. So if a workaway housing project operate less than 1 year, it will consider, over 1 year but less than 2. For PSH is over 1 year but less than 3. Then it will be different. Then it will be new renewal. So there is another question. Does having 2 mental illness qualify for bonus? No, because in HMIS, how it's calculated is just based on category. So if it's mental and mental again, I think they just lump as one, as far as I can tell. We are basing on the APR report, which I'm going to show you later. I did not look into that, but that's my assumption. So another question, what day are used to calculate 5A? Let me see, 5A. Quickly housing people. So this actually takes me the longest time. That's why you just received it not like a couple days ago. So I only calculated new client that you receive after April 1st, 2017. So only people you connected after April 1st, 2017. And then if they have a referral day, we'll use the referral day. But there's a lot of transfer. Actually, for transfer, you don't get credit for this measure. So it would be like a NA, because transfer, there's often not really a referral day. So we just kind of skip all those clients. Any other question? Did I answer everybody's question? We all good? You can keep the question coming. We can go back to it at the end as well. Okay, so I guess the next object is this. Sorry, I have this on here. Okay, I need a volunteer. So anyone volunteer for me to run their COC APR? Type it in the checkbox. Okay, so die volunteer. Let me shadow die. So before you run your APR, make sure you are in the right program. So I am going to run their program as the Rapid Warehousing. So that's correct. If that's not what your default program is, make sure you use enter data as. It does make a huge difference when you use it or not. So go to report, and then we're going to COC APR. So again, I'm going to select the project that I'm going to run. The day range is April 1st, 2017 to March 31st, 2018. And then you select HUD. Okay, so just like what we explained in the workshop earlier, there is a lot of information in here, but I'm only going to point out certain things that impact your scoring, which is what we are focused on right now. So a lot of this, there's not much to it. Data quality, we're not using it against your score. Besides this part. So we also find not only 6C reflecting your income score. There's also, I think, question 18 also reflects that. We'll go over that. So let me see. I think those are fine. Okay, disability. Here is how we measure disability. We basically pull out the information from, let me see, from this question. From this question here. So you either have none or one condition or two or more or unknown. So that's basically where we get it from. Okay? It's this question. That's pretty clear. And then exit, sorry, that's not it. Okay, so for income, we're basically using this question here combined with this big question. So the problem I see a lot of provider has is this part here. Let me find it. Here. Here. So I mean, unfortunately, but fortunately, the program I'm showing you had no error. But a lot of if you run your API, you're going to see error here. So if you see any error here, it basically impact your denominator and it will make your percentage go down. So this is part of the denominator that we use. And so this is the very important measure that you should look at, very important error that you should look at. If anybody showing up here, that means you're not updating their annual assessment, which again will go into your denominator and make your percentage go down. So this is probably one single most important thing that you will need to fix. And then the rest of them, I guess it's harder to catch any error inside this spreadsheet, but you can take a look after you fix the question 16 and see what your measure looks like. If you feel it correctly reflected your success in getting people income and other cash income, then that's okay. Otherwise, you will go into each individual like client, click on them and see who gets income or who doesn't have income. Is that correct? Things like that. So if you scroll down, we have the exit data. So that's also how we measure the exit. Which is exit. Oh, that's how we measure exit, and then also how many people exit and come back within 6 months. One thing I do want to mention, HUD is a lot more considerate right now, that they actually excluded hospital, I believe jail and nursing home and death. It's actually in the funding guide. Talk about who is excluded. So people who exited those places are being excluded in this measure. So we're not counting against you. We excluded those people in the denominator, so your percentage should look a lot better than it used to be if you have a lot of client exit to those places, which in PSH it often is the case. they don't really exit until they really needed to go to like nursing home or like psychiatric centers, things like that. Sorry that I'm not like super clear which one is being excluded. Let me just go back to the renewal, the funding guide, which should clearly define it. Okay, so the exclusion is foster home, foster care, hospital, long-term care facility, nursing home, and DC. Okay, so I guess not include jail. Okay, so those are being excluded. All right. So basically, that's how we do the measure destination income, especially question 16. I hope I don't make you dizzy. So especially question 16 and this question here, right here. Number of adults there without required annual assessment. That's gonna impact a lot on your income performance. And then the condition of disability that will impact your bonus opportunity. So take a look. That's about it. A lot of the rest of it, like occupancy, quickly housing people, and recidivism, it's not done through APR. It's through other customized report that we build. So plus those things are, especially like recidivism, it's not something you can fix because they come back, then they come back, right? But if you have any question about those 3 items, you can always talk to Nate and he can show you more about it, especially if you feel that's not correctly reflecting your performance, then you can talk to him about it. At least I did my best with the quickly housing people because a lot of it again is transfer. Sometimes the referral date may not be super clear, and then I kind of work with coordinate entry lead to correct those. So I hope it's correctly reflecting your performance. I think most of you do really well with those measures also. So with that said, that's it.